A shelter is a home. We make sure that the family units are very much like a regular family home. It's filled with love and kindness, and safety is our number one priority. And women will often tell us it's the first best night's sleep they've had in years since their abuse started. People assume that it happens to a very small group of individuals, that it doesn't really have a huge impact in our society or in our community. But in fact, 1 in 3 Canadian women are living in a violent home with their children. And more than 50% of Canadian women have at least once experienced violence or abuse in their lives. All she cared about is getting her children, getting herself out of line of fire, and leaving everything behind. Last year alone, we lost 67 women and children due to intimate partner violence. That's 67 families that have been shattered because these families have nowhere to go. The women's parents are alive, or her other children who were not killed. They are forced to continue living a life knowing that they lost their mother and they lost their siblings. So we are there to help her rebuild that with our community support and the donations that we receive. We also get a lot of calls from men who are being abused. You can have emotional abuse, psychological abuse, financial abuse is a big one. Stalking is a high-risk sign that may lead to eventual lethality. It's important to understand that we don't believe in support violence against anybody. The challenges that Yellowbrickhouse is faced with is lack of sustainable funding from the provincial government. We're struggling with raising funds to keep the existing level of shelter beds available to the community. That is the biggest challenge for our sector. We have to have an investment, both from provincial, municipal, and federal levels of government in sustainable services so we can help women and children who are fleeing a violent home. Otherwise, the outcomes can be deadly. We should not have that happening in our communities. We should have a safe space for anybody to be safe. It's a basic human right.
It fills my heart with pain and sorrow because I can imagine what that means to a family, to children having to live in that kind of trauma and violence, knowing that they may not have their tomorrow, knowing that they might not have food at their table. It is really important that we all work together in helping the Yellowbrickhouse.
Donate to your local shelter. Donate to Yellowbrickhouse. Keep us open. Keep the doors open because shelter beds and our services save lives.